All right, how you doing? It is finally here, Friday, which means we are a day away from kickoff, homecoming 2018. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to yet another episode here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network as we get ready for today's Pick'em show. Want to remind you that our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook handles are at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network, and of course the website is obnradio.com. And without any further delay, we'll jump right into today's episode. Before we get into our football pick'ems, we want to recognize with this busy week we've had going on. Cross-country championships were held this week, and give a congratulations to Arkansas Pine Bluff men's cross-country for taking first place. PV finished in second, and for the seventh time out of 8 years, Alabama State takes it from the women's division. Grambling finished in second place, PV Nation in third. So congratulations to the men and women SWAC champions for cross country. Want to give a congratulations to Prairie View. They went to a draw with Texas Southern soccer team to secure the 5th seed in the soccer tournament, which will be held on the campus of Prairie View A&M University November 1st through the 4th. So a lot of things moving on and getting ready for the volleyball tournament, which will be held at Mississippi Valley State toward the end of the month. So we got all of that taken care of and getting things together for this week's Pick'em. From the MEAC, our Pick'em game of the week will be between FAMU and Howard. FAMU on the inside, looking at everyone else, trying to position themselves to take over. Howard having a strong year, but I believe the Rattlers should have enough in the tank to pull off the win against the Bison. I'm going to say a 4-point margin of victory for Shotgun Willie Simmons and the Rattlers over the Bison. For our SWAC games of the week, we're going to stay in Texas. Homecoming for the Panthers, of course. It is also homecoming for the Tigers of Texas Southern. They'll be hosting Mississippi Valley State. We got some other huge games on the line, as is Jackson State taking on Southern University. That's going to be a very critical game, in particular that pertaining to the Western and Eastern Division. However, this Mississippi Valley Texas Southern game is extremely intriguing to me. Don't ask me why. Mississippi Valley is coming off a double overtime victory over Pine Bluff, 48-47. Texas Southern's coming off a disappointing loss to Southern, 21-7. They're going to meet at the BBVA Stadium in Houston, Texas. Don't ask me why, but my Panther senses are tingling. And I'm going to go with the mild upset and say that Texas Southern will fall short to Mississippi Valley in what will be a very entertaining and thrilling game. So that's my upset alert, if you would, for the week in Southwestern Athletic Conference. Now to the main attraction. Prairie View coming off a very disappointing loss against Southern University, losing by the score of 38-0, which has been well documented by now. And the only way that you may not be aware of that, you were on an island somewhere, or you just strictly oblivious to the world of HBCU athletics. Prairie View in a must-win game, critical game, the game of games, whatever other cliche you could come up with. Before I go through with my pick, let me give you the results from our poll. And the poll, very simple poll. We gave off 3 players who you could choose from that you would think would be necessary for the Panthers to have success this coming weekend against the Braves. The poll question choices were DeWanye Tucker, Jalen Morton, or Tristan Wallace. And believe it or not, we had a tie between Dewanye Tucker and Jalen Morton as far as these guys are going to be essential in order for the Panthers to have the victory. 35% of you chose Tucker, 35% of you chose Morton. 29% said that Tristan Wallace would be a key factor for the Panthers to have success. Now, to give you the numbers, I normally try to stay away from too many stats because sometimes you could overread in the stats. Stats could be misleading, but the old adage is true that the numbers don't lie. When it comes to the Panthers, believe it or not, still considered one of the most prolific offenses in the conference. In fact, they're number one in the conference when it comes to passing per game. They're averaging just a little bit over 301 yards per game. The Panthers also are not doing too shabby in the running game. They're number 3 in the conference in the run, averaging 6.4 yards a carry and 320 yards per game rushing yards. So look at that, and the numbers seem to be pretty impressive. But then when you go to the individual stats, you have what some would kind of scratch your head just a little bit. Marcus Hardy is the number 3 receiver in the conference for the Panthers. Number 35 in the conference is Tristan Wallace. Number 10 in the conference for receptions is Zarian Holcomb. And number 18 in receptions in the conference is Dewanye Tucker. Of course, the last time out, Dewanye Tucker had 10 touches, which is way under the radar in order for the Panthers to be successful. Tristan Wallace had 6 targets for 3 receptions. My personal opinion, all 3 of those guys that we called off on our poll need to be very, very active for the Panthers to have success. Rushing, Dewanye Tucker is number 10 in the conference. At one time, this man was the number 1, number 2 running back in the FCS. Number 10 in the conference, averaging 5.2 yards a carry and averaging 69.7 yards per game. Jalen Morton is number 3 in the conference. Jalen is averaging 10.9 yards a carry, and he's averaging just a shade under 120 yards a game at 119.7 yards a game. When it comes to team stats, Alcorn is the number 1 rushing team in the conference. They're averaging 6.4 yards a carry. They're averaging 320.4 yards per game. Prairie View is number 3 in the conference with rushing. They're averaging 6.2 yards a carry and 210 yards per game rushing. Alcorn is number 9 in the conference when it comes to passing. They're averaging 156 yards per game, but they're number 1 in the rush. And we know that the Panthers have had challenges trying to stop the run. I'm hoping, I got my eyes crossed, toes crossed, fingers crossed, whatever else I can cross, that Coach Henry Miller and the defensive team come up with a scheme that could force the issue for young Noah Johnson to throw the ball against the Panthers. So when the dust has settled and all of the chips are on the table, I still must make a pick. So when we do checks and balances, balances and checks, ins and outs, ups and downs, as excited as I am about homecoming and the factors we laid out on yesterday's show of what the Panthers would need to keep themselves in the winner's circle. PV Nation, I hope I'm wrong, but I see Alcorn inking out a very competitive game. That's just from the logical perception as I measure these teams out. But my heart is going to be pulling for Prairie View. Don't forget that 30 minutes at the conclusion of the game between Alcorn and Prairie View, we will be live with our 1876 postgame show. Also reminding you to join us on Saturday for the Carlos Brown Show, live right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Be sure to dial in, leave your thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns at 713-570-6736. We thank you guys so much for your continued joining of our various platforms, be it Spreaker, YouTube, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and on and on. We can't do it without you. Don't forget, next week we'll have Fred Washington, and we're still on the countdown for January 10th, 2019, where we'll hear from our very own Dr. Ruth Simmons. I am the radio guy, the doctor, Mike Prince. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.